Hello and praise the name of the Lord. I hope that you are well and doing fine wherever you are. My name is Grace and I love Christ as my personal Savior. Today, I'm not into the teaching so much, but I want to share a bit of my story because I believe that some people might see some of us in the ministry and they think that we were born doing this and we have never messed around in our lives. So, I, Grace, being born and raised as all of us have been raised, I'd say that I have been raised in a family where I have a father and a mom, I have brothers and sisters, and a fourth born in our family. Uh, my family is a Christian family, and being in that family, it was so strict for my mom that going to church was mandatory. And being raised in such um, an environment built a very good foundation for me and my brothers and sisters. When I say this, it's I'm in my late 20s, and if I am a fourth born, you can tell how old my parents are. And I thank God for them. They have been of great support to me and my family and all my siblings. And I can tell you for sure, no one, even though everybody has their own life path or their journey in life, I can tell you that everyone knows God and they know how to pray and they know how to dedicate themselves to God and serving Him. Because I have said that we were brought in this family where going to church was mandatory. You could not just come out with an excuse that you are not going to church. You would explain more. So we were built in a very good foundation, and I went through my primary school, and I was in a primary school which was around our home. It was a walking distance. Those days we would walk to school and go back home in the evening with your lunch packed. I thank God that we never lacked food in our home. I have heard so many stories of the people of my age who went through some situation in life. They could not have lunch. They would just go and even find in the evening that their mom has not prepared food for them. But life continued. I thank God my parents, we never lacked. We had enough. We had enough for our family, and being raised in that family, I went through primary school, and I remember when I completed my primary school, the marks I got, uh, I would say it because I want to be truthful in my story, that I got 292 marks. And by then, my brother, who is the second born, was in a private school. And my father asked me whether I would go back to class 8 so that I can add some more marks. And as I wait for my brother to complete school so that I could be taken to a boarding school. But because I was intentional with my education, or else I knew what I wanted in school, I told my father, even in a day school or in a day secondary school, would be better. It's all about what you have gone there to do. So I never went to class 8 for the second time, so I continued. So I went into a day secondary school, which is Ragia Secondary School. By then it is a Ragia, it was a day mixed school. So it was like the same way we were living in the primary. So we continued with life, but now at least we had matured. And I can testify to you that I was so focused with my education because I would be able to attain a good grade in Form 1, Form 2. I would be at the top reading student. And I thank God because I went intentionally. When my dad told me that if I could wait for my brother so that I could join, because when you have one parent who is or you have state whereby you don't have much, so you have to wait for the other one so that the burden of school fees would not be so much. So I decided to go to this day school. And remember, my sister, my elder sister, whom I follow, was in the same school. So we accompanied each other in the morning and in the evening to go back home. So I went there, I studied, I was the reading student, I have said, and to some point, I remember I have said that we were brought in this Christian family, and so I was intentional in serving God. In Sunday school, I would participate in Bible verse, singing, all those. Oh, you remember those things that we do in study school, in those home areas or our back home. All we could do, we get involved in all those activities, going to those activities which are held by a combination of your church, whereby you practice and you go for competition, for singing, for dancing, for dramas, all those I participated. So I got that motivation, or I got that uh, intention of serving God. So in high school, I joined CU, or the Christian Union, and when I was in Form 3, I became the CU chair lady. And in that docket, I served God with a different student, and I thank God for them, because at least we raised the Christian Union to some point. Remember, in those days, the school, to some point, before then, the school was not doing well, and the level of discipline was not that high, because remember, this is a school where we have boys and ladies, all ladies and gentlemen, but the behaviors are different, because they are going home, they're interacting with different people. Some are engaged in drug addiction and all those sort of things that happens in a day school. So all of that was in school, but I thank God about that we were able to raise the 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 flag for the Christian Union, where I was in Form 3 serving as a CU chair lady. And later on, I continued serving. And in my Form 4, I became the school captain, or the school head girl, with a fellow student who was the head boy, who was my classmate in Form 4. So I served in different categories, and I was still pushing in my education, or what purpose had brought me to school. So I remember when when you get some uh, duties to carry out. When you are on duty, you are the school captain, you are the CU reader, you have a lot that you have to carry. At times you forget focusing on education. I would say I did not do so bad in my Form 4, because I got a C plus, and a C plus by then was not going to campus. That was the time of, that is around 2014. That is when I did my first Form 4, and in 2014, that is when I got a C plus. But because I would not go to campus directly, either I would go through parallel, but because of the state of my parents, in terms of finances, and we have other siblings behind me, so I retook Form 4 in 2015, and I studied. Now I didn't have those burden of school captain and all those duties which are given to school readers who are chosen by the teachers. So I focused on my education, and I got a B minus. At least I upgraded from a C plus to a B minus, and that enabled me to join campus, and I was able to continue with my studies throughout my university education. But I want to go back to my salvation. When I was young, in my Sunday school, primary school, secondary school, I served God. I did all what I could. I had a zeal for service for God. And in the setting of the setting of that village life, when you are a church member, you are so much into serving God, and you do not want to involve yourselves in some other things or some sins because you fear God so much. So when I joined campus, I came to a different environment. Remember that I have been in the same neighborhood and the same village life in my primary, in my secondary school, and all my life has been based on the village. And when I go to campus, I experience a different life. People from different areas, people from different language group, people from different backgrounds. So you have come to a mixed. You have mixed reaction. You have a kind of culture shock. I would say a kind of culture shock because of the different people from different languages, how they behave, how they do things, and now through this shock, I did not carry my salvation through all. I'd say I was still saved, but I did not uh, serve God the way I was serving while I was young and while I was in secondary school. So in this stage of identifying and knowing who is your friend, who do I work with, what do I do with this life now that I have come to a different background or a different area, now you find that I was shaken through my faith. One of the reasons that I was shaken because what I expected. That's why we always say that you should not have expectation. Because I believe that people who are saved, they are not supposed to engage into some activity, or they are not supposed to be found in certain cocoons of people, or doing things that are questionable. So when I come to campus, I find there are people who are serving God with zeal in the Christian Union, and I was so happy. But the same people whom you find in the pulpit serving God, you find them into different uh, behaviors and different cocoons and different things they are doing, but that are not bringing glory to God. So I asked myself, is this the kind of people that I'm going to associate with in serving God? So I withdrew. I withdrew my activeness in serving God, and I became a dormant. I became a church going student. Because remember, when you go to campus, you have to find a place where you are staying, so you would go to school either by walking. It depends where you are staying. So remember, here now you are living a life that you are dependent, or you are independent. All you could ask from home is food and all that, anything that is required. You are given school fees to go and pay for yourself, and now you become an independent person. You don't have a parent there to look after you, no sibling that is here, no family member is there. So you find that at times when you go to school, or many of us, or many people, when they went to campus, their lives changed either positively or negatively. So myself, I found myself, yes, I became so dormant in serving God, and now I started engaging into different people. I didn't see any big deal, because now I was like, if these are the people whom I'm going to follow in serving God, then I would never do. I never became active. I did not participate in any. The thing that I would associate myself with is the service, the Sunday service, and some Bible class studies, Bible class, which we were doing them on. I don't remember so well whether it was on Monday evening, where you would be a group of people. There were some booklet that we were given to study the Bible. So that's what I was engaging myself. And I did the Bible study classes. I attended them when I was in In that day, I remember so well. I remember because I was the university that I was is Karatina University. At first, we were in the town campus in Riverbank, and then later we were shifted to the main campus, which is in Kagoshi, in the interior, in the inside of Kagoshi, the main campus. So the change from town life to the village life, because we call it in the village, the life changed, and I found myself not so much strong in my faith. But later I came to realize, after now the campus life, after I had not been so active in serving God, I uh, after remember I was almost doing my last papers, or the last exams of 4.2 in 2019 April. That was when we were supposed to sit for our last papers, but COVID struck in March. I remember so well. We were doing our final uh, revision for the final paper, and COVID struck, and there was close down. People had to go home. Everything shifted. Things happened. The way people are expecting things, the year changed, and there was closed down. Schools were closed. People had to go to their home, to the village. So at that time, now you remember, I was remaining with 1 month to do my exams, to finalize my campus life, and now COVID has struck. So we went home in that month of March. But I remember I spent some time in school thinking that COVID would go away, or would the impact would reduce, and maybe we were requested to go back to school and do our final exam. Remember the urge that comes with you completing school. It's a feeling like, why would COVID do this to us? And we wanted to complete school and go into the world to seek for career breakthrough and find jobs so that we can start earning money. So COVID struck, and we went home. And at that time, my guys, we were to go to the village. Remember the village life? You have to wake up in the morning, go to the shamba, you dig, or you do some farming. Then that is the routine in the village. I know so many of us have been brought in the village, and that is the village life. Waking up in the morning, go to the shamba, do some 1, 2, 3 at home, washing, all those the home chores, and then night comes, the next morning, go to the shamba. Yeah, all those activities. So we went and started living in the village, and COVID carried on up to around 2020. I remember, yes, it carried on through 2020. It was 2019. When did COVID start? It struck in 2019, because I remember I joined campus in 2016. So 2017, 2018, 2019. Oh yes. So after that, until the COVID, the impact reduced, that is when we were supposed to go and do our exams, because it was the exams that were remaining. And I remember there were online classes that we were supposed to attend. And remember, many of our students, many of us, because of the background and the financial state of our families, most of us did not have laptops or even a good quality phone. The only phone you could have is a phone that you can Google some notes, you can Google some of the assignment given. And I remember that at that period during COVID, because there were some online meetings and classes, I would not be able to attend because I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have anybody close to me that I would borrow a laptop. So I never attended any of them. So if there were marks for attending classes and meeting, then I would lose it. But thank God, nothing happened, and there was no much impact with those meetings and classes. And when we went back to school in 2020 at the end, that is when uh, we were to do our exams, and later to graduate through online or virtual graduation, because there were not supposed to be people gathering around, and all that happened. And I remember after 2019, after I completed my exams, because the houses that we were renting, we could not move out. We were not able to move out completely after COVID, because we did not know how long COVID would strike. So we went back to school, did our exams in the end of 2019, around October, I remember. And later it was 1 week, is it 1 week exam? Kind of. And I stayed for some days, and I remember I was not ready to go back to the village. I was not ready to go back to the village. So I decided I will go for a job, whether it's a house help, any job that would be available. I was ready for it. So there was this neighbor of mine, and she had a sister, or a sister-in-law, and his brother, and they wanted a house help. So after exam, I did not go home. What I did, I took my bag, I left some of the items like cooking items and the beds and all those to a neighbor who was in that year. So she was joining for the year. So I left my luggages with her. So I went to work as a house manager, or a house help, as we call it in the normal language. I went to work as a house help, and I carried my luggages and my clothes. So, because remember, I had lost my focus and my direction in serving God. And let me tell you, whatever has been founded, or the foundation that was laid, one day will come to fight for itself. So, all this time I was feeling guilty because I was not serving God in the right way. And I would see, like, when I go to church, remember, nobody knew in my home that there was a time that I slept, because I cannot say that I completely fell out of serving God, but I was just a church goer. I was not having that zeal of serving God. So after I came to be a house help, that is when I started rediscovering myself and my service to God, because I was feeling like I'm not living the right. I was not living in my path. I was not doing the right thing. I was not doing what is required of me. And I felt some guiltness in me. So in all the season, I started searching for God. I started looking for Him myself. I wanted to know Him at a personal level. And at this time, I was so guilty. I was feeling like there was a burden put on me. And I was feeling like it's so heavy for me. How do I do? What will I do so that I can get rid of this heavy burden that is put on me? So I started seeking God by praying. Remember, I'm a house help at this time. This is 2019, 2020. So I am here, and I am feeling like I am not myself. I want to serve God, but I don't know how to start it. So I started seeking God at my personal level. I cannot tell you that there is a a pastor that I was listening to. There was nobody who was working with me in that journey of re-identifying or rediscovering myself and my service to God. So I started praying. So after I work or I do my home chores that I was supposed to do, I had 1 hour where I could just go, cross the bedroom, lay on the floor with my Masai shuka, and pray. Let me tell you guys, I would pray until I felt like my head now is aching. I would cry uncontrollably because I felt that I had sinned against God. So I was feeling that bitterness, and I was feeling the guilt. I didn't know that I would get out of that state because I was so guilty. Even seeking God, I would feel like I'm doing the wrong thing. Will He hear me? Will He have a second chance for me? Remember being brought into this Christian founded church, and home, I was feeling like I have wronged against my parents, although they did not know. I have done things that are not godly, and I felt like now this is the end of me. Will my God hear me? Will He even have an ear for me? So I would cry and cry and contemplate. All I remember, I would say, Lord, I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm sorry, God. Please forgive me. That's all I could say. And as time went by, I started feeling better day by day, month by month. And I was feeling now I'm becoming a new person. And remember when I was doing the home chores, I was given a day off that was on Sunday. So I would go to church. And remember, the church that I got is the same church that I served at, or I serve at my home village. So I started serving God as a Sunday school teacher. This is what I was doing at home when I would go back from school to home. That's what I was doing. I was a Sunday school teacher. I would teach the small kids. I love teaching. That's why you find that I have now become a teacher of the word, or I am identifying myself in the teaching of the word to a larger crowd, not only to the kids and to the small children, but also to the adulthood. How are we supposed to re-identify ourselves with the word and teaching it and understanding it and applying it in our lives? So I started teaching the word I started teaching the Sunday school children, and I went on. I became better and better. Now I would not feel guilt. I remember the first day I went to that church, I was feeling like everybody know what I have been doing or what I have been going through, and I was feeling guilty. Even studying before the people, I would feel a lot of guiltiness because I had slipped off from serving God. So I went on, I got healed. How I got the zeal to serve the Lord. I became so great that at some point I became the church youth leader. And I felt now God has started building me or making me another whole being, another new person. I have now become a new person. I served God in that category or in that docket of being the Sunday school teacher and also the youth leader. And I can tell you for sure, if my youth or the people that I served, that I was serving with, would come here, they can testify that the Lord was so good. We served with the zeal. We would go for services and prayers for every Friday, because now I became so attached to serving God. Every Friday I was going for a cash. The person who was, or my boss who had employed me, did not deny me the chance to go for a cash because she knew that I was going to church. I thank God she trusted me, because I believe that some others would be saying they are going for Kesha, but they are going for Duda. But for myself, was going to the church and serving God in the Kesha. So very early in the morning, I would go home and do the chores that I was entrusted with. So serving God and doing the work of God is never in vain. In part 2, I will come and tell you how I got married and how I am faring on with my marriage, how I believed in God that I would get a spouse, and I can tell you that serving God is never in vain. I will tell you about my wedding, about a message that I was given through a minister of God, that after me there would be a number of people that would do a wedding. I will tell you in the next page or in the next video how the Lord carried me through and what has happened later. May God bless you.